I've tried to make this video around 2 or 3 times, but every time I get into the edit, I'm not happy with it. It doesn't hit the mark. So hopefully this time I actually can get it across the line and actually get this uploaded. Now I'm going to give you an overview of what I'm going to be talking about and why I'm kind of doing a deep dive on this. So today we're going to be talking about Arties, which is a fine art launchpad. And the reason that I want to talk about Arties as a fine art launchpad is the fact that right now I am seeing a trend more towards art focused projects. So if you're on the explore page of OpenSea or even looking at the kind of stat seconds, what is moving, you've got art here, you've got art here, you've got art here. You're getting a lot of fine art projects and art projects by established artists that actually are doing quite well and moving within the space. And I can see this meta shifting from the PFP kind of thing into established artists actually putting out sort of art collectibles, which I think is important. Now, something I want to touch on really quick is Crypto Gorilla has done a video on it, and he does a great video breaking down the mint pass aspect and why he thinks this is bullish. And I think that's great. You should go check out his video after this one, of course. We then also have Blockchain Gavin. He's also done a little bit more of a dive into how the art is kind of generated and the mint pass aspects of it, the gamification, because they are doing some interesting stuff when it comes down to the mint pass itself, which I think is really cool. And then my boy Philip has also done a video as well on this. So a couple of the people that I respect in the space have done this. Now, I have spoken to the founder myself, but it wasn't until recently where it's really started to click and connect about what they're actually trying to do. And that's why I kind of want to bring it to you from my perspective and my angle and why I'm kind of looking at this and I think it's very interesting. Now, to give you a breakdown of Arties, it is a mint pass with a supply of 1,500, but they are doing it in batches. So the idea is they're going to be doing it in tiers. So the first tiers will be getting a sort of first mover advantage, but the later tiers will be able to see what the first ones have done. And I like this drop structure because I think drop structures should be changed and different. It shouldn't be an all or nothing one-off mint. It should be kind of changed up. Now, something that I have noticed with what the Arties team have been doing is the fact that everything they're doing is very high quality. They're trying to put some high-end branding, high-end production values into all of their promotional materials, because as much as this is a Web3 project, they are looking to onboard people from the Web2 space and get them over to the Web3 by actually collecting digital versions of the artists that they know and love. Now, one thing that when I did talk to the founder Eki, is he was saying about the fiat on-ramps and things like that to actually kind of help onboard these people that are usually in the traditional art sense, because these people move and collect art in a particular way. So they actually want to move in and kind of make it easily accessible for them, because it is quite hard and cumbersome to learn how to kind of fund a crypto wallet, MetaMask, Mint, things like that, which I think is interesting. Now, look, first up, we're going to be talking about Voca. Now, the reason we're going to be talking about Voca and what his art goes for is because you will be getting a Voca NFT with the mint pass. So this is a very good correlation to see if getting the mint pass will actually kind of pay off with the fact that you're actually getting part of the Voca collection. So Voca has been an artist for decades and decades. Now, when you actually kind of go into his store, you can kind of see some of the prints that you can buy. And these are prints. These aren't kind of one-of-one paintings. These are prints. They go between sort of 650 and 1200 euro, which is about sort of the euro and US dollar are about the same. Now, when you actually head over and check out what some of his artworks have gone for, ranging between 4,500 to 52,000 US dollars. So Voca is an established artist. He has done a lot of work in the past. He's got a very unique style. And this will kind of play into it, because if you are getting a Voca piece, you are getting some of this heritage. You're getting some of his work, the first kind of digital aspect of his work or a recreation of it. So when you start to kind of run some of those maths with the fact that prints are going for around 650 to around 1200 a piece, it kind of gives you a little bit more comfort when you're moving into it, because you are getting the mint pass itself. And I'll touch on this shortly about what this also evolves into, but you're also getting a Voca piece. And because they are doing a small supply of the actual mint pass and Voca, it's going to be one of 1,500. So this could become valuable in the future if you do plan to hold on to it. But then saying that, the flip potential of the Voca piece isn't too far-fetched, with it being a small, short, reduced supply, but also the fact that his artworks are moving for that. And you can see a collector that would pay $1,200 for a piece, this isn't out of the realm to actually kind of spend another $1,000, which if ETH kind of drops, that could be an ETH. This is where some of my mentality comes in with the kind of flip potential. Now look, Voca also isn't just some kind of niche artist kind of hidden somewhere on the internet. He's also got a bit of a following on Instagram. He's got 35,000 followers on Instagram, and you can kind of see what he's done. He gets his artworks in galleries. He is an established artist. He is published. He does have his galleries where he works, what he does. So he's got, and look, you can see the behind the scenes productions of him doing the work. Like, they are spending a lot of time, money, and energy on crafting a visual story when it comes down to Arties and this first collection of Voca, which I think is very important because they really do want to not just target Web3 people, but target Web2 people, so they can see that NFTs aren't sort of monkey JPEGs, that they can be a little bit more than what you imagine. And when you just have a look at some of these images here, it's very curated, like the way that his artworks have been put out into the world and they're captured to kind of show off. I really like it, and I think it's very interesting. Now I want to touch on Arties and their founder. So Arties has got sort of almost 40,000 followers on Twitter, which is good. It's growing and it's pumping. But the founder, Eki. Now Eki, I spoke to him. He has been in the sort of fine art realm, so he understands how these people move and act. He's not just sort of a crypto dude that's kind of speculating on how he can kind of run up a bag, but he's in that space, so he understands the motivations of those buyers, how they kind of work and operate. He's also in the VC world, so he knows how to kind of raise funding as well, which is good because when this kind of rolls out and moves on, they're able to raise funds if they need to kind of continue things going. It's not just going to be kind of running out project after project just to kind of continuously raise funds in that sense. Now, with Eki, one thing that I actually want to touch on is the fact that he is a part of Web3 Wizards. Now, I think this is important because you can see him down here. Eki, founder of Arties, Fine Art Launchpad, raised $3 million for private crypto investor groups, which is great. But when you actually have a look at who else is in Web3 Wizards, you've got Sahib. He's super well connected when it comes to the space. But you can also see Crypto Gorilla right here. Now, the reason that I bring this up, and I think it's important, is the fact that we're not talking about Eki as a founder in a sense of a silo, and he's just trying to go this on his own. He's surrounded by competent people. He's surrounded by smart people within the space. So it means that every sort of decision-making choice that can kind of happen with Arties can be done in a way that actually ensures that it succeeds, because you've got people that are ingrained in the space, that are in touch and go, hey, here's the current meta. Hey, you should make this tweak or adjustment. Hey, this isn't going to work. And I think this is very good because without saying that he's got a whole bunch of qualified advisors, he's surrounded by some people that are very smart. So they're going to ensure that they are succeeding, because the people that are within Web3 Wizards are going to want to make sure that they're supporting their boy in every sense possible. Now, I want to touch on the roadmap for Arties, and this kind of popped up about a week ago. Now, the reason that I want to talk about the roadmap is it gives you a bit of an idea of what they're actually kind of planning and how it's going. And what I also love is the fact that with the roadmap, it is done in a very kind of cool artistic sense. Now, they're going to be doing the Genesis, sort of the mint pass drop, which is the Genesis drop. They're then going to be doing the Voca free mint. They're going to be launching a clothing line. They're then going to be auctioning off one of Voca's paintings, which I think is cool. And they're going to be having a DAO. Now, look, why we are on the subject of DAOs, what I also want to touch on is the fact that they are going to be fractionalizing some art. So they are going to have these big art pieces that they will then fractionalize. They will retain custody of them to put them in art galleries, to put them in sort of different shows, spaces, things like that, to then hopefully raise the value of that artwork, get more exposure for it, which in turn will kind of help out the holders of the fractionalized piece, those being within the Arties ecosystem, to actually make, hopefully make some value on what they're actually holding in that fractionalization sense. And I think this is very cool, because it does kind of blend that digital physical aspect. The fact is, if you can have get exposure to the fine art space without having to fork over sort of tens of thousands of dollars, but then you've also got people that actually know how to operate it, so they can actually kind of maximize that exposure and that utility. Now, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be doing an access pass, which is another free mint, because they want to load up and stack a whole bunch of value when it comes down to the Arties ecosystem. And then they're going to be in Q4, they're going to be introducing the next Arties artist, but they're also doing a PFP collection. Now, when it comes down to the PFP collection, you're going to get an Arties PFP, which is cool. I think that's great. You're also then going to be access to sort of Vocus thing, which is great, it just kind of adds to the ecosystem as a whole. They're not trying to kind of line up a whole bunch of liquidity extracting events. They're trying to offer a bunch of value up front, which will then create the attention, which creates exclusivity. So those first movers are able to take advantage of being in the ecosystem first. Now, when I was speaking to Eki, he was talking about how it's a conscious decision for them to not be doing a 10K collection or a 5K collection when they've got a 1500 mint pass. They might be doing a 1500, they might do a 2000, they might do a 500. So even though you have a mint pass, it's not a guaranteed mint pass, which also adds another layer of exclusivity, which then makes the artwork with these artists a little bit more alluring and sort of exciting, because they are harder to get touch on. Now, Blockchain Gav touched on this, the fact that they are tokenizing the whitelist sort of spot. So the idea is that if you do get one of the following artist, you are able to then sell that whitelist spot as an NFT, because it's essentially going to give you access to mint that project. And I think this is very cool and very innovative, because it means that the people that get the spots for that project, they can buy and sell that on the sort of secondary market, which then starts to add in the pricing speculation of what the project can be. But then Arties themselves, the project, can also take royalties on it if they want to operate that way. Now, when it comes down to the different tiers, they are going to operate the different tiers in rarities. So the idea that you are going to be able to, if you get a more rare mint pass, you are able to get a higher chance at getting every single mint pass. And if you get a lower one, then there's less of that chance. And I think it's cool because it gamifies the system in a way that it makes it alluring to actually hold on to the mint pass, because you can then hold on to it. You can get a whitelist spot. You can then sell that whitelist spot. And this just adds to the gamification of it. And this is where I think the NFT space is kind of going when it comes down to just very disruptive tech that actually plays into the consumerism and the trading within the space. Now, look, something I really want to touch on, but I think Crypto Gorilla does a great job of, is the fact that Goda, which is a kind of fine art kind of launch pad in a sense, has a floor price of just over 9 ETH, because people are gravitating towards it. Those people actually have some funds to spend. They are able to speculate on art. So these hold a higher price. And there are a whole bunch of other sort of launch pads that have done quite well when it comes down to floor price. When you have a look on the kind of trending sections of OpenSea, you are seeing art blocks and art-based projects doing quite well and holding quite well when it comes down to floor price, because people are looking for these smaller curated collections, and they are doing quite well. So I'm not trying to turn this into a big shill fest, but I'm just trying to kind of bring out these points. And the idea is that if you are starting to see more and more collections of sort of fine art or high art popping up, maybe this is a sign or a signal to then look for what trends are happening and where things are moving, so you can then take advantage of it. Because I'm not saying you need to jump in and go hardcore on something like Arties. I'm going, hey, here's what Arties is doing. Here's why I think it's actually relevant and it can work, because it means that you can then also go look for a project like Arties that is fulfilling a need for where the trends are actually moving, because this may actually kind of help out you making some good plays, even if you're not into sort of high art or fine art, but you can speculate on it because you're able to execute and move early within the space. And I think that is very important. So that is a breakdown of what Arties is and why I think something like Arties, which is a fine art launchpad, actually has the potential to do quite well, because it's not just a launchpad. They are kind of disrupting what they're actually doing within the space, because they are disrupting the space with some cool utilities that I think actually could do quite well and hopefully get people interested and engaged. So if you found value in this video, please consider hitting up that subscribe button, or while you're down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.